It is time for the most accurate Deadlock Tier list you will ever find in the internet, of course, Mimonis Tier list. I never died in this game, guys. Seriously. Yesterday, I played 3 games. I died once in total, okay? I don't die in this game. That's how good I am. I'm an old Dota pro player, you know? Dota 1 pro player. That's how old I am, Jesus Christ. And the thing is that this game is Dota/LoL, right? Much more than whatever, right? It's almost a Moba game. And also, this game got insane game mechanics, okay? Like insane escape game mechanics. I almost never die. I mean, literally. I played so many games now where I have like 10-0, 10, 10-1, 10, 10-0, 10, like, you know, 15-0, 15. It's like so hard actually to die in this game. And I bring it up, right, because of course this game has one of the worst battles I've ever seen in my life, okay? It's obviously, you know, whatever, alpha, beta build, right? But the game is super broken. Some of the characters are broken balanced, okay? They're not S tier, they're higher than S tier, right? And some of them are just terrible. And I bring it up again, right, that I'm not dying that much, as I really don't die, almost never in this game. And obviously, you can see from commenting, many of the characters that I think are incredibly high, broken S tier rates, are just hard to die with, right, you know. They just escape all the time. Let's go into it, but of course, for example, Abrams, right, has 2 escape mechanics, /2 engage mechanics, / he is self-healing and is tanking. Like, how do you die with that guy? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so... Everyone is incredibly hard to die with. They're good characters. But anyway, guys, please subscribe, press the like button. You know, I love doing tier list. The links below for my previous tier list, right? And I sit here then, when I do my tier list, as every time, I like to start with, of course, the best characters and the worst characters, right? Because what's the point, right, you know? We're not gonna go ABC here. That's pointless. We start with the best characters. That's what we're here for. You wanna know who is the best, right? And then we talk about the absolute trash characters, and then the other characters kind of end up in the middle. Now, I purposely here made several tiers, going from broken, actually. Broken, S tier, A tier, B tier, mid, and trash. And I might not even put a single character in B tier. I make this list here, like this, right, to point out how this game, honestly, is incredibly not very balanced. It's so here, some of the heroes are so much better that I straight up has made, maybe I even have an empty tier here, just to, you know, I want to emphasize just how much better some of these characters are, that they are not even in the same, like, they're not like A and B, it's like, no, it's like a S and B, it's like it's a whole level of character in between there. And I'm certain that Man of the Heroes eventually are all gonna go to the middle, right? Like, yeah, in a year from now, everyone's gonna be B tier, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get into it. Now, the first hero, which is S broken tier in this game, even better than S tier, is Fat Old Hanzo, okay? Fat Old Hanzo is so good in this game. So, snipers are interesting in Deadlock, because they don't work as, you know, like a sniper in Overwatch or whatever, if you shoot stuff and do high damage. Here instead, you can't really kill anyone on level 1. I mean, of course you can, but you probably won't. Run away and so on, right? So why is Fat Old Hanzo so good then? Well, Fat Old Hanzo is incredibly suppressive on the lane, okay? There's no other character, I would say, that is worse to face on level 1. And this is my, like, go-to DPS character. It's so easy to, like, constantly force opponent off the lane. And you can't go and heal behind the watcher, you can shoot them still, you know what? It's easy to get all the last hits. This guy is like the anti, you know, he's probably by far the strongest hero in the game, early game, absolutely. Then, he has an amazing ultimate, right? The ultimate is to throw your bird out, and you can throw that bird from like any lane. You can go from like lane A to lane B, right? And you can still stand on your lane. You can stand in some jungle somewhere. You can stand in the fountain and throw it. And it's much better than Ashe ultimate. It's very similar, of course, to Ashe ultimate in League of Legends. But the ultimate is more like Junkrat from Overwatch. You can control it, right? So if they turn left, you follow them, to right, you follow them. So you can easily just throw like a stun at the other lanes to get like a hit, you know, an assist over there and get a kill over there and so on. And that makes it incredibly, again, especially early game, so absolutely broken to be like, oh, I stunned someone over there for you at level 4, like, bam, immediately when I get my ultimate, you know what I mean? Like, it's super broken when you unlock it especially. So he's, I would say, by far the best hero early game. Now, the thing is that his whole kit is just so powerful, right? The trap, one of the best systems in the game. It protects you. It's very powerful again in the jungle. It puts different angles there. It's hard to approach him. And then his W, his 2 when you jump up in the sky, it's very good. It gives you like an AoE attack as well, so you can push. It gives you a great angle to DPS on different fights. It's also good escape mechanic because you can jump and then go up to the buildings. It just does everything. And I keep saying this thing, but the main key, right, with fat old Hanzo is that he's just so suppressive. He's suppressing the opponent's side. Even if it's 1 against 2, I feel like I can just keep 2 guys away from me for the first, 10 or so minutes, and they will almost get no farm, right? And now we get everything. And it's just like incredibly strong character. And I think this is one of the typical characters you're gonna see in high rank play for all probably, as you get nerfs, but like as current state, because it's such a good character, especially when they're playing. I'll say it. The better the opponent are, the better he is. That might sound like that makes 0 sense. But what I mean with that is that I feel currently in Deadlock, people dying a lot early game now, and I think that when we get rank in the game, people are gonna rank up and people can play better. They're gonna die less, right? People die way too much now. I would say they play like Overwatch, which actually is Dota, right? And they're too aggressive at the beginning and so on. The less people are aggressive, the people playing safe, more conservative, right? It actually helps the sniper characters because you can keep them distance and pushing them but trying to farm, right? So I think it's a bit easier actually to play this character, the more conservative rank gets, right? Which it definitely will get, as in any other Moba ever, basically. Now, that's right. This is how imbalanced Deadlock is. So one of the snipers is the best character in the game, and the other one is the worst character in the game. And now this is crazy how imbalanced it is! Because being a sniper in this game, right, is so bad late game. Because everyone is so high mobility, it's move mechanics so high in this game. It's very hard to survive late game with a sniper and actually do good DPS, right? Now, the bird is still incredibly useful because you can stand anywhere you want. You can throw in any lane, you can stay in the jungle, it can be fountain. Amazing ultimate, where bonus scope ultimate is just pointless, but people kill you anyway. It's very hard to use it. The trap is so much better, so on, to actually keep them away from you. So in the jungle you can do it, so on, right? So this better sniper is still useful late game and is the best character at level 1, right? Now the other sniper is so much worse than everything at level 1 and is pointless late game. So she actually is, Widow is basically the worst character in the game, like straight up. She's completely pointless almost every team fight late game. Like it's just straight up. While also that actually being actively worse to the point up there as well, right? I mean, she's worse at level 1, 5, and 10 and so on as well. So it's like, yeah, it's incredibly imbalanced. One sniper super good, all the other one's a joke. And I would probably say she's the worst DPS in the game. And she's only playable basically at the very early stages. Of course, it's similar to Fat Hanzo because she's suppressing you. Melee heroes have struggled to farm against her at level 1, 2, 3 and so on. But after that, she's basically pointless. And everything she does is worse, like the crow bird thing is worse than the trap and so on. Nothing is pointful there. She's only good if everyone basically is AFKing, so that is still, like it's coming to that now here, of course, but again, right, this game has too many move mechanics, too many game mechanics make you move around too much, too many leaps, too many charges, right, and it's just not good enough when you're playing a sniper cat in this game, unless if you like is broken good at being a sniper, but for the other DPS, it's just point. Another character in this game that is S tier is, of course, Abrams. So Abrams is just an incredibly good tank, and I think that if you have played any Moba games before, I don't know, Naruto Wars, Dota, doesn't matter, all of these games, right? It's the same thing, is that it's always very, very powerful having a passive that makes you use harder to defeat, right? Given that the percentage is good enough, so to speak, right? Its stats are high enough. So Abrams' third ability is just like resilience, okay? You take less damage. But that obviously is incredibly good at scaling, because at late game, you basically be immortal, right? At late game, this is one of the best passive in the game, because you have so much more resilience than any other hero, which makes him arguably the hardest hero to hit in the game, right? So that is straight up incredibly good. Now, to make it even worse, or make it broken then, Abrams has 2, not 1, but 2 escape/engage mechanics, right? He has a charge ability, which is also a very good ability if you're ganking, because you're pulling them with you when you run with him, right? You do this charge thing. If you hit someone, they will pull them with you against your allies if you get the right angle. So it's a pretty good gank as well, right? and then you can escape with it, of course, but you can also have this leap ability, this ultimate, so you can leap in, and then you can do the short at them, right? Very easy to do. Or you can leap out if you have a bad fight. If they come behind you, gank, you can leap out, right? And then charge away. So I have played, I don't know, 5-6 games with Abrams, not dying once, even if I also have like 20 assists because I'm tanking, right? Because I'm just like, but you can also jump out of it, yeah. It's so easy to escape. If you have a general sense of the game and know where ganks are coming and so on, you have 2 abilities to run away with, and again, also 2 abilities to engage with, right? So he just feels so overpowered. And then lastly, a thing is in this game here, which I see people not using enough, but trust me, this is the apps. If one thing you should learn from this game, honestly, in my opinion, is that melee lifesteal, like lifesteal business games currently, are incredibly broken. So Abrams is a broken character because he got the lifesteal 1 right, the life sits around you, and then you have lives to build on him, so you punch stuff, you get life and so on. No one will do. And an even better hero that is Moe and Krill. Moe and Krill is basically Warwick, a bit more later, but basically them and Abrams both have a lifesteal 1, right? And they both have like lifesteal builds, they have lifesteal gaining life, hitting stuff, melee guy getting life. You can ultimate get life up again. It's just incredibly hard to kill these 2 characters. They also both have both great escapes, right? These are, I would say, the 2 top S tier like tanks in the game. Because Moe and Krill, a little more DPS based than Abrams, but the thing is that they are basically, again, Warwick from League, so they have like this life gain, right? So you can do like lifesteal, suppress them, and then lifesteal again. So you hit them with 2 lifesteals while they can't do anything. And you also have your like auras and stuff happening, doing damage, lifestealing, where you're holding them down and so on. So you can basically have like 1 hit on you, and then gain full max life again before they can move. Like, it's insane. Like, it's insane. I think that Moe and Krill is the best character in the game, actually, and I put them at absolutely broken tier. And what I keep saying that is that the easy way to understand them is they are Warwick from League of Legends, because their ultimate is probably the best ultimate in the game, from at least a single target kill. You hold someone down, and if you kill them with that, you get maximum health permanently. And you're already playing a tank character, so that's really good. But this ability, just like Warwick, will just keep someone down right for several seconds, and they will basically almost always die from that. It is a team fight. If you do it as a gank, it's a guaranteed kill, basically always, right? As I mentioned, their first ability is a lifesteal, so you lifesteal AoE around you. Abrams and Moe are the same, basically, primary ability. But doing that one, you will get so much life back, right? And like I said, you can do your lifesteal, hold them, or you can like blind them with your sand thing and lifesteal. Honestly, I can't imagine Moe and Krill not getting nerfed and getting nerfed on like the cooldown on the lifesteal, because you can like spam lifesteal. You can like lifesteal, lifesteal sand, lifesteal suppress, lifesteal. Like, it is so good. Lifesteal burrow, lifesteal, so on, because the other ability is then burrowing, right, like a roach in StarCraft. So you get down in the ground, move around, like the Zerg does, right? Basically roach them in the ground, and you can jump up again. This means you can escape almost any gank, because it's so hard to defeat. This guy is a very tanky character, right? And you can hide away from attacks and so on the ground for like a long time too. But because it's such a long, basically the timer on this burrow is just such a great length at it, right? That as soon as you get up again, your other cooldowns will have been returned, right? Not the ultimate, but the other 2 abilities. So you have your lifesteal again, right? You have your AoE lifesteal and so on. Which is really broken. But like I said too, both these characters, and also some other characters that are melee like this, they're so powerful because currently in the game, melee lifesteal is too high. And obviously, I keep saying it, but I play Moe and Krill as Warwick, and Moe and Krill I think is the best character by far, right? And I get this item that you gain more health, like healing you do is higher for yourself. And this is an ability I don't see other players actually buy it enough. But it says something like Warwick in Spirit Visage in League. So you gain more, your heals do more healing, so speaking with that. And we have it on Moe and Krill. You won't die on them. Like, you heal so much. Your life gain is gonna be absurd. So no one can like solo you anymore. You do like just bizarrely, lifesteal, right? It's like impossible to beat them 1 against 1. Either of these 2 characters. And I think that they're all probably gonna nerf these like life gain abilities. And of course, I recommend then one of the first items you should buy in the game is of course melee life strike, which you can buy very early in the game, and also buy close quarter And then of course you spec like, you know, like Berserk Francis builds, you're stronger in melee, stronger in close quarter, and also of course then lifesteal. And then for both those characters, most of the games you want to get the burning cloak thing, so you do damage around yourself, like burning constantly. So you're holding someone down, right? You do damage to them and so on. It's just super OP. So I think both these characters are like broken, super broken tanks, and it honestly feels like any other DPS doesn't matter, because you basically out DPS the DPS anyway, and you're also harder to kill. So I don't see any reason for like playing a DPS character in this game over playing like Moe and Krill and Abrams. Because they're such a good tank. They're such a good bruiser tanky guys. And the damage you do is so high anyway, so you don't need to be DPS. Like, it's just crazy. Like I said, of course, fat old Hanzo is different though. He's a sniper, right? He's very different. He's the only DPS that is really good on far range. Like I said, the Widow is terrible at far range. She's a terrible character, right? But he is good at far range. He actually can handle it, and then that of course is a different thing than these two characters. There's basically like no mid-tier DPS character that is better than the tanks in this game. That's one way to look at it. Because also Warden, and has commented on that, but like Warden and so on is also better than DPS. So it's like, yeah, why would you ever play DPS in this game? Honestly. But anyway, let's go on. So another character that is broken, and she is absolutely broken, is of course McGinnis. Now McGinnis is Heimdinger. Let's go on. No, but seriously, like McGinnis, I don't even know how I can say here. She's that classic, you know, super annoying Moba character that can put down turrets, right? And the turrets can like solo all the mobs, and the turret can like tank the warden or the tower or whatever, so you can do DPS on it. And yeah, she's just way too good right now, I feel. Because the turrets are just too powerful, I would say. And then she also has this like AoE, her barrage ability and so on, just stuff, right? Which also just too powerful. Because the thing is that, I mean, Heimding has also always arguably been a very good character in League, or similar character to him, but the thing is that it's like she does too much, I would say, plus the turret. Is that I mean? Like her EoE stuff is too powerful, but also having just a good turret. Because there are other DPS characters that doesn't have her like AoE power, so to speak, right? Yet she also has a turret. And lastly, she can also make this wall, right? She can make this wall. This wall is super good. You can't destroy it, it pushes you away, damage to it. So McGinnis is just broken, like seriously. I hate McGinnis. She breaks the game, okay? She breaks the game. Like, seriously, McGinnis, she's broken. She's just brokenly good. Again, the turret is too powerful, has to be nerfed. But to have the turret, plus having this like Orochimaru wall basically, that is also way too powerful. Like, the wall itself is one of the best abilities in the game, and the turret and the both of course do the same thing, like engineering, you know, like CC stuff, pushing away all the mobs, blocking the towers and so on. These two things together are just so incredibly powerful. And she can block away your escape path and so on. This wall would be good at any character, right? You know, it's probably good at a tank and a DPS character. It honestly feels that she's the wrong character to have the wall. It should probably be some kind of like support character, or you can healing character or something. It just seems so broken, and she has high DPS too, so. She's just so broken, like seriously. Obviously, you can kind of control her late game, you can go at her, but you know, early and especially mid game, her push is so powerful that you have to always go after her, right? And as is currently right now, she like ruins the game, seriously. Like, she's so strong that she ruins the game, right? Because you have to always take care of her on the lane. Like, no one can take care of her on their lane. And I honestly, when I put her even higher here, I will put it up here. I still think that Moe and Krill is the best ganker and best tank in the game and so on, so it's a better character, all in all. And actually, Moe and Krill is a good example of this thing. Moe and Krill counters McGinnis though, because one ultimate is dead immediately, so that's a better character. But McGinnis, in a vacuum, and especially I guess when you're playing against like not very coordinated teams, right? McGinnis is a nightmare. It's a nightmare if your team doesn't coordinate against her all the time. You have to do it right. No other cat does it, but she's a very weird character because, yeah, she basically has too high DPS, is an engineer kind of building stuff, is a support character. She just does way too much stuff, and I can easily see her removing the wall, for example. Like, she doesn't need to have the wall and the turret, like, it's too much on the same time. She's just broken, guys, she's broken. Another character then that is trash is Ivy, the gargoyle. And I bring it up right with McGinnis because where McGinnis kind of similar to snipers in bars have been terrible, right? I don't even know what Ivy does. Ivy is like, I can heal a little bit. It's not good enough, right? It's not good enough for heal your party. She can turn into her like stone form and land on you. It's like whatever, right? And that's kind of what I mean, because like McGinnis, she can heal, but she obviously is a better for your team, right? She supports your team better than what Ivy does, and the turret is also there and so on. Yeah, it's better. Similarly, Dynamo can also heal, and his ultimate is way better than Gargoyle, but his ultimate is the one, the singularity, puts everyone in, right? He got this very, very powerful ultimate. So, if you're gonna play a supportive character, right, in this game, if you're gonna play supportive, I would argue that Dynamo is the character you wanna play, right? He also got the heal, so usually if you play like with your friend, you have like a duo team, then you wanna play like Dynamo, right? And then Ivy's the worst. Yeah, straight up. Why would I not play Dynamo over Ivy? Much better ultimate, also have a team heal and so he just have your team, a little bit supportive CC abilities. So it gets a feeling. Or why would I play McGinnis if I wanna push a lot, do the wall thing, support my turret, support my team, block the damage from my allies with the wall and so on. You can block the turrets and protect your mobs and do a better mob push and so on. It's just like, why would I play Ivy? I think she's completely useless. She also seems to be very unpopular, I guess. I almost never see her in any games. I've seen her a few times, but I think yesterday, I played like 10 games yesterday. I saw her like once, I think. Yeah, like no one plays her. She's also boring too, yeah. She's bad and boring, so absolute trash tier. No regret. Now Dynamo, I think is better. Dynamo's ultimate is pretty good, of course. Singularity is a good ultimate. It's probably better than Kev's ultimate with the ice cloak thing, but I don't find Dynamo that good. I think it actually is too weak early game. I think Dynamo is interesting because it does heal the other person though, right? But the thing is that if you're playing like Moe and Krill and Abrams, right, you can heal yourself anyway, so I don't see the reason to play Dynamo with the heal ability, because again, life steal and like life drain is better than healing in this game, massively so. So Dynamo, I think is just an okay character. If with your correct teammate, he's probably a better character to speak in a duo lane. So I mean, he's probably the first here I would say a good like AT beat character. He's the first character here I would say like, oh, this is a good character, good ultimate, it's not broken, he has a heal, he has a CC, it's okay. I think Dynamo is the first character I would put here in A tier actually. But I want to put him here right now, right, comparing him to Ivy, where I feel like I said, I don't see any reason playing Ivy over Dynamo if you're playing with your friend. Because if you play with your friend, right, you will usually start on the same lane. I usually play with two friends, and that usually means if we have two of us, we'll usually start on the same lane, right? So then characters like Ivy and Dynamo are better, of course. We know we're gonna play 2 against 2. But again, like, why would I ever play Ivy or Dynamo? I don't see why, honestly. Like, straight up, And again, if I play solo, I much rather play like Moe and Krill, right, to heal myself by a lifesteal instead of having like Dynamo. Like, it's just an open 100% terrible. Whatever. But anyway, let's keep going. While we're on the lifesteal argument here, I'll talk about Lady Geistabit. Lady Geistabit I find a little bit interesting as well in this sense. So let me first do this thing here, okay? This is an interesting backstory. So obviously I played a lot of Dota and this all this similar stuff, right? This is truth, guys. This is the actual truth. I was the one that actually invented and popularized the lifesteal stealth tech with Terrorblade. That's an actual fact. It was called Fuma Lives for back in the days. I was the first person. People wrote about me on the forum saying this guy invented stealth with life swap, and it's just a good build. Dota 1, of course, it says pre-Dota 2, right? This is like 20 years ago. Seriously, I was the first guy popularizing, inventing that strategy, playing in tournaments, and people were talking about me and writing my tags and this guy, look at this guy's replays. This is so good play. So I am the one originally popularized Terrorblade. Terrorblade was a terrible character, but I was like, life swap stealth. And this is true. I mean, I'm not being up, 100% true. I was the guy that invented that strategy and also popularized it. 100%. So Lady Geist, of course, is Terrorblade, obviously, the backstory then. And she's also a pretty good character, but I don't think she's broken. I think her problem, and I keep saying that I love lifesteal character. I mean, I started playing this game, I used to be a pro Terrorblade player, right, in the back in the days. So I really know my Terrorblade, so I started playing her. This is actually the first character I played in this game. I played it for like a few hours the first day I played the game. and I like her a lot. But the thing is that her lifesteal, her like general attack abilities, are just weaker than Moe and Krill and Abrams, so I don't find her as good as them, right? In the early game, and that's a problem. Because late game, her ultimate is so good. Let's Terrorblade, you swap your life, right? It's so hard to defeat her in a 1-against-1. She's probably the only character I feel that can take Moe and Krill like 1-on-1 if you have the correct build, if you fed and so on. So basically, she's incredibly strong late game, 1-against-1. Arguably the strongest hero late game, at least in a dual standpoint, right? But again, I think her early game is slightly weaker than those two guys. But I still think she's a very like viable character to play. And in some matchups, she's better. She's a little more mid-range, right? Those two guys are basically melee. She's like mid-lifesteal range. So she's a little bit of a different feel to it. And I think that she's still, of course, very, very playable. And I keep doing my, classic jungle Terrorblade strategies. But also, and I really mean it, right? I am like super good Terrorblade, I keep saying it. I was the guy that invented Terrorblade, right? I was the guy that made Terrorblade work, right? So I don't know. I honestly do feel that I probably play her at the highest level you get. My point is that every other person I face with Lady Guys, they suck with her. I don't know, but I mean, it's like I'm trying to make the point. Trying to sound super braggy or smug or whatever, but generally, I have so far not seen a single person I have faced actually play her correctly. Honestly, no one plays her like Terrorblade. They all play her too defensively. I play as a full tank, right? I go max health, I go close quarter, I build her as Moe and Krill, right? So I build her to be like super in their face. Then I go in there, I attack them from the jungle, I stealth into them, I steal their life points. I don't go back actually if I have low life, so I want to have low life or so on. I play her incredibly aggressively in melee, and it works really well. So I think that I have a very different feel how to play Lady Geist than what other people do, and yet I only feel she's like A tier, which is still good. But that's what I mean, she's A tier, right? And I think that if she was really broken, I would put her there, because I think that, maybe I'm bragging too much, but I don't feel anyone else is playing her on my level, but I've seen at least. No one's playing her in the way that I play her, and as good as me. I think she's like my best character, probably. Her and Moe and Krill, yeah. I think I'm really good with her, like super good with her. And it's like, this still is, I can't get her higher up than there. I mean, I win with her, but I feel like, no, she's not good enough, okay? If any character I'm probably the most sure on after Moe and Krill is her. Because Moe and Krill is obviously the character I play the most. When I picked them up, I saw, oh my god, this is broken, man. So but, no, I think she's a very good, like, A tier, yeah. Now, a character of the trash is Yamato, okay? Yamato is just terrible. Yamato's game is Genji, obviously. It's obviously Genji, Jesus Christ. This character is just so Genji, running around with her katana, doing combos, and yeah, this character is ultimate trash. I would say Yamato is probably, by far, the worst character in this game. It's completely broken in the wrong way, right? The reason why is pretty simple, actually. There's obviously a melee character, and she does, DPS using melee, of course, with the swords, different abilities with swords and so on. But what's the effort? Like why? Because you have other character, they can easily out-damage her, or at least do almost the same damage she does, and they're way safer, right? She's incredibly unsafe for doing so little damage for being so unsafe, right? Also, her ultimate is absolute trash. Her ultimate lasts for like a second. So you do her ultimate, and you can throw like the other abilities like immediately, and that's it, right? Her ultimate is so terrible, because if you get CC'd during your ultimate, or when you start it, it's wasted, right? And that sounds like, oh, it's a new problem. No, not really. Because other ultimates, for example, let's say the ball thing. Yeah, turning into the blob or whatever, right? These ultimates, or ultimates like Abrams, when you jump in or whatever, that's gonna do so much more immediately, right? Or all the ultimates, if you empower yourself, it does so much more. It does so much more. Like even if you see you can still keep doing it. Like Vard's ultimate, it keeps casting for several seconds, so on, right? Her ultimate is like, no, if you get one CC on you, like a slow whatever, you basically waste your ultimate. It's way too vulnerable. Her ultimate is way, way too vulnerable. And then her other abilities are all terrible until like mid-game. She can barely do anything on the lane. It's too hard in this game, I feel, with her ultimate. Her abilities are too like weirdly melee focused. And you might say it's interesting because Didn't I say earlier that melee guys like Abrams, that are basically like very close combat, also are very good? Yeah, but the thing, of course, is that Abrams and Moe and Krill, and also Lash and so on, they have lifesteal, right? They have pretty good sustainability with their lifesteal. Also with the guys, of course, lifesteal and so on, right? But Yamato doesn't have this. Yamato is a glass cannon character having to be close combat in this game. It doesn't make any sense. She can't do anything until like mid-game at least. And then like one CC is out, and she lacks good CC herself, and her DPS isn't high enough. I think is that when you have a character like Yamato, right, you're so vulnerable yourself, you have no real good crowd control, you have no good range, you have to do everything in close combat, you have to do insane damage to not be trashed here, because, you know, she only has DPS on her, right? And like I said, she does way too low damage. To be so incredibly focused on like melee close combat damage, right? Yeah, her damage is way too low. And that's the biggest issue, honestly, because if she did like double her damage, she still wouldn't even be best character in the game, like honestly. Even if you doubled her damage, she still would be manageable because she's a terrible character overall, right? So it's like, no, you need to like have way more damage on her, or make her ability to do more stuff, right? Only good ability is the one that jumps on someone, yeah. But then Lash is a better version of that, so it's just like, she obviously is very similar to Lash, coming to him later then, but Lash also can jump to someone, but he has CC with doing that, which is much better. I mean, her ability is just only good in 1-against-1, you know. And you have to have an opportunity for that. So it's very bad late game. And obviously in late game, 1-against-1, they probably with a CC for your ultimate, so you can't use that either. So it's like, no, she's just terrible. Lash then. Lash is, like I said, similar to Yamato. They're probably the most similar characters, sure. So Lash, just like Yamato, can jump to someone by lashing onto them. I see what they did, yeah. So he can obviously, he has like a whip guy, right? So he can do his whip to someone, and you fly towards them basically. And she can do her like grapple hook. They're basically the same mechanic, honestly, really are. And so you get someone. So in both cases, it's good to get melee in there, right? However, he, like I said earlier, he has lifesteal, which I keep saying in this game is very important to have to sustain yourself and also when you fight the beginning of the game. So him having lifesteal makes him so much more valuable early game, right, on the lane and so on, than she is. And overall, his lifesteal Lash is just decent ability to have when you're farming and so on. But whatever, those two things are decent. But what makes it much better than Yamato is that his weird ultimate Lash thing makes you aim at someone, and you're in the sky, and you can fly towards them, and then you kind of spin them around, and he does this weird thing. Like, this CC is enormous. His ultimate is super CC. Like, it takes forever, basically. His ultimate is like 2 ropes doing this weird thing. Right? How to explain it, basically? But it's a very weird ability with a super long CC time, basically, right? Which means that if you hit someone with your ultimate, you lash to them, you ultimate them, right? A team is there, or just 2-against-2, whatever. That person is probably gonna die, right? Yeah, it's just a good ability. It's really good. You can also, of course, you can lash to your allies, you can lash to your mobs, so on, so you can move forward. But he's a really good ganker. He might be the game's best ganker. He's probably the most mobility ganker, at least, because you can have like, you know, Lash, ultimate, your ability. You have 3 different. He's just like incredible. Again, I'm saying it, you know, move game mechanic, yeah. But I don't think he's that sustainable himself, though. He's not very powerful 1-against-1. That makes him weaker. That's like Abrams. You know, again, Abrams has 2 mechanics, right, to engage, and then he's way tankier. They're obviously kind of similar character, right? Because again, Lash has like 3 mechanics to get engaged and 1 lifesteal, or they get 1 lifesteal and 2 mechanics to get engaged. But then having this like resilience and being like a tanky character spec-wise and better weapons and so on, just makes it, you know, better. I mean, I'd rather have like more tanky and having 2 mechanics to engage than like 3, and yeah. So he's worse than that, but he's up there in that level. Not as good as Abrams, but they're obviously, you know, similar characters, right? Absolutely. So he's somewhere in, I guess he's somewhere in the middle between Abrams and Yamato. Then you have Lash. If you combine those 2 characters, you get Lash basically. And honestly, here at Helios looks kind of funny, but yeah, kind of, right, you know. But he's basically A tier. She's trash and he's broken tier, so You plus them two together and get lash. So honestly, this is very accurate. This is the most accurate you've ever seen in your life. Yeah, this is super accurate now, especially this thing. Now, Ward is interesting. I put the Warden in S tier. So Ward is very, very powerful, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the other tanks. So Warden is different because he's like a medical base tank. It makes any sense. He also likes it a lot, right? And he gains health back. But he's more like a spirit, you know. He's like, sort of melee lifesteal. He's like spirit lifesteal, right? His ultimate does basically is like a life drain around him, more or less, right? He does an AoE, and he gets life back, and everyone loses life, right? And then you can have items that makes you, you know, all of your element, all your spirit, whatever, gives you life back, right? So you can combine those two, and you get ridiculous amount of course, life back with ultimate. But then you also, your other ability, your flask or so on, also gives you life back, right? And then he has a shield ability, and shield ability scales on like your spirit power, right? So he basically is like a spirit magician guy that, you know, gains life by using spirit abilities. Which basically makes him a tank, you know. And I guess he's like Mordekaiser or something like that in League of Legends. Yeah, he's like Morde, yeah. Probably my in a Moba sense, I would say he's Mordekaiser, yeah. He's like he's a spell tank, something like that. But again, he's a pretty good character. I don't think it's as good as these, like I said, these like melee lifesteal tanks. But he's obviously very similar to them. He's very, very similar to those two guys, to the other ones. And he does it worse, I think. But I think that he might be a better character, depending on your team, right? He's obviously better with items that like reduces their magic armor or spirit, what's it called? Spirit resistance? Or whatever, yeah, the spirit protection. And if your team has a lot of spirit damage, he's better, right? So, or maybe he's worse than because whatever. But you got a point. Like, it depends on the context. It depends on who you're facing. So he might be slightly better than the other tanks if you want more. But basically, if you want a spirit tank, he's your guy. If you want a physical tank, you have Abrams. So like, but I think he's slightly worse. He also lacks in the escape mechanics. That's obviously what really makes him weaker, right? He's lacking in the engage and escape mechanics. That obviously makes him worse than them. But his shield is so powerful. This shield that scales on your power makes him so hard to defeat. And then with that the more spirit power you get, also more life steal, the more life you gain back or you do damage. And then you have this, what's it called? I have to admit, all the item names are weird names. Like Kevlar, I believe it's called, like. This is spirit weapon thing. Late game that makes you, when you use your ultimate, you get a shield, basically, right? So if you do that with him, I think it's called like Kevin or something. If you do that with Warden, it's just like broken. Him, he gets like enormously lifesteal, and you get like bubble thing around you when you do the ultimate, and you fly around with your ultimate, and you do like infinite lifesteal with that, like you're immortal. Yeah, like it's super good. Absolutely his item to get. I think it's called Kevlar or something, Kevlar armor, whatever, Kevlar bullets, something. I don't know, but I wish that thing. I don't remember all the item names. They're all terrible in this game. They're all so terrible. Not only how they look, the UI is terrible, right? But also how they're named. They have so many like nonsense names. If the item was called like, you know, Agrahim Scepter, then I'll be like, oh yeah, if you get Scepter, you can do this thing. But now it's just like, no, they have some like bullet, Kevlar, armor, shield. It's like, okay, like whatever. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. So, but anyway, him with Kevlar. That is a different ball game, massively so. But I think that some heroes are definitely, of course, more gear dependent. Obviously, they are. And he's probably one of them, though. That also makes him slightly weaker than the other really good tanks because he obviously scales more on item. That being said, though, also means, of course, he's a very powerful late game, like a really late game. If you have a very even game, like 40-minute game, it never ends. He's gonna be like your best tank, right? He obviously probably outscales all the tanks. The longer the game goes, his tanking gets better. So he has a going for him. But I think he's like S tier, maybe even A tier, because he's definitely slightly weaker than the other tanks. But he's somewhere up there. I think he's our first S tier guy here. Okay, let's do Bebop. He's trash tier, man. That trash tier character, yeah. What a trash tier character. A lot of people can say this is a very like, oh my god, how can you put the hooker guy in the trash tier? But this thing that Bebop is all about the hook, right? It's as my friend said, all of these movie games, there was that one hook guy. It's always that one hook guy, right? But he's obviously mostly blitzcrank, but this guy's just like, the hook is really good, obviously. When you gank, you hook someone, they die, but if you don't hook someone, you're useless, and his ability aren't that good. His other two abilities are pretty bad. It's like, can't, hit them up, CC ability, they're all terrible, let's hook them. And the ultimate is pretty strong, but you can't turn that quickly with it, so he's like a really bad character, unless if you hook them correctly. And you can also say, oh, it's a skill issue or whatever, get good. But the thing is that now, it's in both ways, right? Because the thing is that this game, you have so many escape mechanics, right? So for example, if you're facing Bebop on the lane, and I'm playing Pocket, you can also just like Pocket into the briefcase to avoid the hook, Or you can become the briefcase if you hook you and then jump out again with the cloak. And so on. Right? If you're Abrams, you can jump out again. If you're whatever, if you're Moe and Krill, you can dig down and avoid. It's so easy to avoid hook in this game. This is probably, if any Moba gets ever played, this is probably that game that hooking is harder to do because it's easier to avoid it and also get out. Even if you get hooked, you can get out. So no, I think he's terrible. I think people are gonna say he's the best character ever. You hook them and you win. But no, I think this character is controversially actually really, really bad because he's actually probably the worst character in the game because it's only good if you hook them, right? The rest of his builds are terrible, and you have to hook them correctly. And then you have like a 30 second, a long cooldown, hook again, and he's really, really bad at the lane because if you don't hook them, what else can you do really? It's like 2 melee abilities. Pointless at lane, yeah. When it's cooldown, you can't do anything. It's just like no. And the thing is that you have to remember that if you compare hooking to like, let's say, League of Legends, right? Then you have the bush and you have the minions, right? But in this game, you have all these different obstacles on the lane, right? You have the bridge, you have like the different, like, the arcs on the bridge, and you have the different, like, little wall things and so on. So hooking is, I would say, much harder in this game, seriously. And then people have all those escape mechanics, right? Massively amount, so. Like, everyone got flashed, basically, right? Like, times 10. So it's like, no. I think he's terrible. I think he's like the worst character in the game. I think only noobs die for him. I think he's purely like a noob killer. Bebop is a terrible trash character. He's only good at is defeating noobs. They can't use their mechanics to avoid the hook, right? Or you stand behind a tower or something, yeah. No, they're just terrible. And I think that there is no reason to play this character whatsoever, unless if your opponents are terrible. He's only good against no killer. But yeah, Bebop, absolute trash character. Probably the worst character in the whole game. He's really, really bad also in the team fights, late game. And it's so bad too, because this game has so many powerful tanks in this game, right, compared with DPS. So if you get hooked as a good tank character, you're like, okay, good, I can just, own you now. Yeah, which always be a truth as opposed, but in this game even more so. So you're like, oh yeah, great, I can just do more damage now. Now he's an absolute trash character. I guess a similar character is Paradox, with the swap. Is obviously, what's going on again, Spectral Silk. Yeah, the whole swapping characters. Paradox is interesting though, because I like the ultimate is strong. The shield thing is a pretty good ability for your team. The shield blocks like projectiles and so on. That's a pretty good ability. But the other two abilities are not useful. So I find Paradox is probably like mid even. Maybe even the first mid character, yeah. The thing is that the ultimate is very powerful, right? Because you swap characters like that, right? Like you can make all classic games, right? That's good. But what makes it really powerful, I would say, is that the timer of swapping is very slow in this game. It's actually kind of weird, because when I started playing this game, reading the abilities before I play the game, I expected Paradox to be like that, right? Insta swapping them, right? And then we'd be like, I swap you, you swap me, and you're my team now, so you're dead, right? As you see in Dota and so on. But her swap is like, so basically her swap is like uber powerful, because if you're swapping opponent to your allies, right, and they're standing by themselves, so they're flying to you now, to your team, it takes so long time, so they're dead before they land. So her ability is very, very weird. It's arguably the greatest hero killer in the game, just because it's so slow, right? Again, it's super slow. But that's basically it with her. I think everything else Paradox has is not very useful for your team. The shield, again, is somewhat useful, but the other two abilities, like whatever. And her DPS is just far too low and so on. But yeah, the shield thing, blocking projectile, is pretty useful. So in team battles, certainly you can try out those shields. You can have 2 of them, and it's not pointless. But it's all about her ultimate, really. But her ultimate, though, is like this weird throw a ball in one direction thing. So it's not really like as easy hit as with in Dota 1 and so on. But I don't know. I think she's all about, basically, she's all about her ultimate, right? But thing is that I guess she's mostly comparable to, I would say, then Bebop, right? Because instead of having the hook, you got her ultimate, right? Or like Moe and Krill, because like a suppressive ultimate. But that's basically it, right? You know, she's like Bebop. If you hit with her ultimate, they are gonna die. You get the hook thing, but she got better ability than Bebop because her shield is better, and her other like abilities are better than Bebop. So yeah, she's for me, she's like a slightly better Bebop. But I'd rather still play someone like Moe and Krill, right? Also has an amazing ultimate to gank people with. Also easy to hit with Moe and Krill than her, so he's a better ganker overall. And of course, he's like 10 times more effective in the team battle than she is. So I don't know. I think she's like a slightly better Bebop. Just slightly. And look at 7. Well, 7 is interesting. 7's ultimate, on the other hand, is broken. Okay, this is a character. It's all about the ultimate. They're very similar to Warden. They both do this AoE thing, right? And like a lightning thing around them. So 7's ultimate is just incredibly strong. I have played 7 a lot. And this character is also, I have to say, I suppose similar to Paradox in how he's all about ultimate. The other builds are fine, but obviously the ultimate is like where 7 really matters, because again, this is probably the game's strongest AoE ultimate. It is probably the ultimate with the most damage to the opponents. I think so. It's probably the highest like singular AoE that by itself does high damage. I might be wrong in that, but I think 7 probably has the highest damage in like an AoE ultimate, where other ultimates might do more damage to one person or hold them down, so on. But this ultimate is a game changer sometimes. If you put it in the right direction, you can like get like a pentakill. It's so incredibly strong ultimate. Like, this is what it is, right? I think the ultimate alone makes him be a viable character, because you can like easily defeat everyone in the opponent team, 6 people, if you have the correct angle. If you go behind them and come in there and like drop at them, if you teleport in, if you have some kind of stealth mechanic, right, or you sneak in from the force, whatever. If you sneak in a good angle and do your ultimate, like everyone will die. Like it's just an insane strong ultimate. And if of course if your team has some kind of coordination, right? So you start ultimating, and then maybe let's say that fat old Hanzo does the bird things, dog is down next to you, they're all gonna die, you know. And if you combine of course 7 with Kelvin, for example, right, his ice ability and your lightning, they're all gonna die. Yeah, like it's this ability is just crazy powerful. Like he's again probably the strongest AoE ability in the game. Now 7 otherwise got like a lightning beam attack, which is pretty okay. And he can throw this like, I actually kind of like his basic like primary ability, the bolting. The bolting is very powerful actually, destroying enemies so on. So overall, he's just like a good character, a good DPS character, but it really is the ultimate. But I keep saying, this is the ultimate to do high damage with. And that's what I mean with Paradox, right? With Paradox, not a very good character overall. And then you got this one ultimate that is like, well, if you ultimate the opponent will die, right? Like the ultimate is very, very powerful. However, 7 has like an AoE ability that will kill everyone. You know what I mean? You have to see him in of course, and he can get owned, obviously. But his ultimate is like, in the correct angle, you get a team wipe, right? Her ultimate is in the correct angle, you get 1 kill. I mean, that's kind of the comparable thing to it. So and also then 7 is a better character on the lane. The Paradox much better. He's much better at level 1 and 2 and so on the lane, right? So he's a superior in that sense. But otherwise, they're kind of similar. They have that kind of mid-range DPS spec otherwise. But yeah, the ultimate is where it really matters, mostly. But he's one of the game's better DPS, definitely. Let's do Infernus, not DPS character. Now, Infernus I find is pretty almost trash tier. Infernus is an interesting character. Let me explain. I mean him then. So Infernus is, I guess, like thickest the most. He got like an explosive, you know, I will explode myself at you guys as ultimate. And the ultimate is like, sometimes, late game is really good if you do it correctly. But it's like a really weird ability when he runs in there. And you have to burn yourself up so you can run in there. He has this like weird like shooting at the enemy, do like a debuff on them. And you can throw some smog at them. He's like a really weird DPS character, where in team meta he might really shine. But this guy is so squishy, so you have to of course always either, you know, delete yourself against the opponent to do your ultimate at him, or you have to just have some really weird build, like tank with him, it's terrible, or you have to, like, just keep away at the correct angle. I don't know, I kind of like Infernus, but he doesn't really do it, right? And the thing is that comparing to 7, where 7's ultimate also does, talk about, very high damage. And the same thing is, like, why would I just not play 7 instead? Because they're both very similar ultimates. You want to get in the middle and AoE everyone. Now, of course, Infernus does like explosion immediately, but, you know, 7 is easier to hit with. 7 is safer, and 7 is slightly better at the lane. They're roughly the same with the lane level of 1. So it's kind of like, why would I not just play 7, right? So I can't really put Infernus at S tier, and I think he's like not B. He's probably the B tier character, because I don't find him unplayable either. I think he's much better than like Yamato and so on, but he's not that good. And I wish he was better, honestly. He's not there yet. I feel he's like the perfect like B tier character. Yeah, he's that B tier. Actually, I think to be more fair, he's mid. Yeah, he's the mid character. Yeah, he's like the mid. Let's put him in mid. He's very mid. He's that mid DPS. That's what he is. Yeah, he's mid. Another mid DPS, I guess, is Wraith. I'll say straight up. Yeah, Wraith also is very mid. So Wraith has this card thing she can throw, which is just kind of mid, honestly. Some DPS, you know. She doesn't feel that she's very powerful on the lane, but she also isn't like weak on the lane, so mid, right? She's okay on the lane. But the thing is that if you compare her to the top tier character like McGinnis, right? McGinnis is just insanely strong on the lane early game, right? Compared to Fat old Hanzo, so oppressive, right? Jumping up, shooting, snapping at you. You know, she should do way less damage than what he does on the lane. So she isn't as good as the lane. She's okay. Then her ultimate is very powerful, very annoying ultimate. It can fall after you. But is it better than like Paradox ultimate? They're probably roughly the same thing. Paradox ultimate is better if it hits, hard to hit with, but better if hit with it. Is it better than Infernus? No, definitely not, because Infernus is like, you know, AoE at least, and somewhat even hard to hit with, but it's at least useful more to late game. And it's kind of here, yeah. But like I said earlier, the DPS in this game is pretty terrible. The tanks is where the money is at. Yeah, the tank characters are like the strong characters. So again, this is like mid DPS. Yeah, it's like, well, I guess she's like somewhere here, slightly better than Paradox. Or honestly, I probably be the worst for Paradox, because Paradox shield is better. So she's probably like the bottom tier DPS character. Yeah, somewhere there. Now, lastly, of the kind of normal DPS character, Haze. Now, Haze is interesting because Haze is obviously Reaper, right? So you play Overwatch, you know, Reaper has a spin attack, like, you know, bam, 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 right? This is obviously her ultimate. She's 100% Reaper, absolutely. But she also has the Rikimaru stealth, right? She's rather more Eve, I guess, but she also has the stealth ability, of course. And like I made my video last week about this thing, she's very powerful because you can sleep someone with her basic ability to sleep someone, or you can stealth in, right? So you can stealth in or sleep them, and then you can spin at them, right? So her combo is very, very deadly because she has this really weird, again, she's a Reaper with a much better engage mechanic, right? Like stealth. And we don't have that many stealth characters in the game overall. So she's obviously quite unique right now, and I'm sure we're gonna see more stealth character later. But that alone, I have to say, just puts her higher than our DPS. Just having stealth just gives her more options, right? You can hide on the map and get into better angles. But like I said, the combo of being able to sleep someone with a CC knife to sleep them down, and then spinning at them with Reaper, or then coming in from stealth angle, right, and spinning at them, means that Haze is arguably like the best DPS in the game, because yeah, she's probably dead DPS to hit her ultimate, right? And that puts her higher up than these characters, I would say. And then, but I don't think she has enough stats, nor is the Reaper spin actually doing high enough damage to actually put her in this like broken tier. But I think she's like somewhere around here, where I actually find her slightly better than 7, weaker ultimate, but these ultimates are also very similar, right? They both do AoE around you. So they're very, very, very similar. They have almost the exact same ultimate. 7 has, you know, bigger range, smaller range, the angle thing, but they're very, very similar. But again, Haze has the stealth, right, and the sleep thing. But Haze has the stealth thing primarily, which again means that hitting with her ultimate is much, much easier. Getting the perfect AoE fight angle with her, super easy compared to 7. But of course, she does more damage, right? So it's kind of a trade-off there. But I think she is up in the level here. And like I said, she's the only stealth character in the game, the only truly like stealth gank character, which makes her also be one of the, of course, best ganks in the game, absolutely. But I think, like I keep saying here, she's not maybe that good of a character. She's more like, oh, I'm the only person that can truly stealth. Well, obviously you're better, right? So it's like a little bit, if you have more characters, you cannot lose, a little bit of her power level, so to speak. Now, Pocket, it's not a very powerful character. I don't find Pocket as good maybe as the top tags, but Pocket has this super annoying mechanic where they jump into this briefcase, right? The Pocket briefcase, Pocket Dementia. And this ability is just so annoying. So they jump into a briefcase for like several seconds, which makes them immune to damage, right? And they burst out the briefcase and do damage, which is super good. And the thing is that when it happens, the way you play Pocket is that you probably have some like spirit lifesteal, right? So Warden and Pocket have similar builds, so they have like, spirit life gain and so on. And when you do the burst thing, you basically heal have full life again if you have enemies around you. So you can easily like take damage, jump into the pocket, leave the briefcase, so you're basically full life again. Sometimes it's really super annoying to defeat this character. And then you have this cloak ability. You send the cloak forward. Then if you press on the cloak, you can of course then jump to the cloak, right? Here's where I find Pocket really powerful too. If I explain Pocket here, but Pocket is broken tier, right? Because the cloak thing, if someone follows you, you can throw the cloak in this direction and run in that direction. Now, if they follow you over here, then they jump to the cloak, right? If they don't follow you, you just, you don't teleport. Yeah. Sometimes they follow the cloak, so so on. Yeah. So you can trick them with that. You have so much life gain with like lifesteal from spirit damage. You have the burning cloak thing, right? And your ultimate is like poison and constantly. So you have enormously high life gain. And if you lose your life, so you're about to die, you can jump into your briefcase, and during the briefcase then duration, which is super long in the game, way too long, you then basically get full life again because you heal yourself up again, right? You burst through the briefcase, basically everyone dies, and it's just like, this character is so broken, and they also have some kind of E ability, and a shotgun, but it's just like, no, this combo of like the weird briefcase and the cloak things are just so strong, and then having the incredibly high like life spirit gain, just makes the character so tanky and so high escapability. It's so hard to die. Like my record so far is 23-0 with Pocket. This character is like almost impossible to die with. And you're like, oh god. The only thing I'll say Pocket, the character isn't as good in early game as the modern character, right? But an incredibly good late character. And also because some of the spirit damage we do like max health damage and one, it works against tanks too. It's just sort of an enormously annoying character. And might be the hardest character to kill in the game, depending on who you're playing as. But this is like, my god, Pocket is broken, man. But you can see what I keep saying, Abe's broken, Pocket's broken. These characters are like super hard to kill, and they still do damage to you. And basically all the tanks in the game are the best characters. I keep saying, all the tanks, right? But yeah, Pocket is like a tank spirit damage, and basically a better Warden. Warden and Pocket, right, are super similar, but Pocket is just better. So, lastly then, Kelvin, absolute freezing point, of course, named after the scientist and so on behind the Kelvin scale, which follows the Celsius scale, right? But it's like minus 273.4 Celsius is the absolute freezing point, so that's Kelvin. Kelvin starts then, right? Kelvin goes from the coldest point upwards, right? That's how you calculate Kelvin. But so the name obviously makes sense. Like again, this guy got ice powers, so it's okay, obviously. This is May from Overwatch, like clearly it is. Now Kelvin is very interesting because Kelvin's Ice Walk, he creates this like ice plane you can run on, right? And he runs faster. This thing is kind of broken in itself because everyone can take this ice path, everyone can run on it, and you can like take your whole team to do some shenanigans. You can take shortcuts with like everyone with you. You can gank with your teammate. I think Kelvin, to me, early game, has the most strength if you play a 2 against 2 lane, right? So you can take your ally with you, your buddy, and go to the other lane, and gank some other side, right? That's where he's the strongest. And his ultimate is quite powerful. You basically lock them into an ice globe, right? And you get like some health gain, and they can't kill you, and they freeze there. And it is very similar again to May, Norwegian, right? She also has an ice AoE thing. But I don't think Kelvin is that strong, actually. I think Kelvin isn't that super powerful. He's in early game, he doesn't do that much. His freezing ability is okay. Freezing beam is okay. The grenade, those two abilities are decent. But it's more that just the Ice Walk thing is like its own thing. Yeah, the Ice Walk thing does so much stuff. So I think he's not broken tier. He's somewhere around the ST level of like, okay, he got some good CCs, and he got some weird like team assisting, right? and he got some decent damage and decent tanking. So I found him like S tier, honestly maybe even A tier. I think currently it's, like I said, because of his Ice Walk thing, I'm giving him a lot of leeway here. If the Ice Walk thing was more controlled, I probably would even reduce him to like A or even B tier. But I feel currently the Ice Walk thing is pretty strong, but I can see it getting nerfed, like restricted how it works, because it's just weird how it's so open working. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's like Dota and they will never touch it. And then I will keep him in S tier, because yeah, the Ice Walk thing is very powerful, it gives you so much, unique opportunities. But it is like if it's buggy, honestly to me, if it's buggy, okay? That's what I keep saying, if it's buggy, I think they are gonna restrict it, I think it's gonna cause more bugs. This might be me a bitter developer here, but Kelvin's stability is so free right now that I'm sure it's gonna cause bugs. I've already seen one bug where I got stuck inside a wall. So I was playing Kelvin, I did the ice wall thing, McGinnis did her wall thing on me, on the ice wall, that froze me in midair, so I just levitated, like floating in midair. Stuff like that, right? So I think it's gonna be a lot of bugs with Kelvin Ice Walk, and also McGinnis wall for the as well, certainly. So I don't know. That's why I keep saying it a little bit. Like, I'm very unsure. I personally think they probably will change the Ice Walk to something lamer and less free and less good and so on, probably, because again, I think it's gonna be more and more bugs discovered by it, because I have already seen at least one pretty major bug with it, and that probably will keep going there, and that's just what I expect, right? Because right now it's just very weird how it works from like a code standpoint. It's just very strange to me. But that lifts him up a lot then, so that's why I'm a little bit like, well, kinda is worse. But yeah, currently probably S tier. Or I guess arguably he's broken then. I guess arguably he's broken. Maybe he should really be broken then, because it's broken. It really is broken. But I don't know. I don't find his offense ability that powerful, I guess. So he's somewhere around this level. There you have it, everyone. This is the most accurate tier list you will find in Deadlock, right? And to briefly go over it, then of course look at the best character and to briefly explain why they're so good and so bad. Moe and Krill and Abrams are this high up because they have incredibly high life sustain abilities. You basically can't kill them with 1 against 1, and being a tank in this game in general, today with Warden and so on, is just really good. Tanks are much better than DPS in this game. The only DPS that really works in this game is Grey Talon, or as I call him, Fat Old Hanzo, because Fat Old Hanzo, right, is so suppressive on the early game, on the lane, right? Incredible. Instead of McGinnis. McGinnis is playing the Heimdinger. McGinnis is like an own character, right? McGinnis is broken, she's playing her own game, the wall is way too powerful, even the turrets, she's like playing her own video game, you know what I mean? Then Warden and Kelvin are also tanky, and they're like spirit tanking instead. So again, tanks in this game are very powerful. Haze is the only stealth character, which is again powerful, and has a combo which she can very easily do a spin right. 7 is the strongest ultimate in the game from a pure DPS standpoint, which is very good. Now, Lady Guys, decent life stealer. She's basically a weaker Moe and Krill or weaker Abrams. A good character, she's also Terrorblade, but not as good as they are. Dynamo has probably the best support character in the game, can heal, decent ultimate, that's kinda it. Lash is like, again, a weaker Abraham, so he can jump into them, but he's squish himself, but he's a pretty good ganker though. Then, the DPS character are all trash, straight up, right? Infernos, Paradox, Wraith, they're like very meh DPS characters. You rather play a tank than them, or you play a support tank character. They kinda do something, but not enough. The ultimates are not good enough, don't do enough damage. And then you have a bunch of trashy like DPS characters that do even less than they are in bottom tier, right? And lastly, Bebop is just like, oh, I have a hook, but if the hook misses, then I'm useless, almost always. And the hook in this game is to evade, right? Because everyone has escape mechanics. Almost every character has to kind of leap or jump or teleport, you know what I mean? So everyone can almost escape the hook always, and even if you pull them in, they can jump out, right? They can run away from you. And the stage has so much more stuff in your way, right? Because you're fighting on the lane, and the lane has this like pillar and arcs and bridges and walls, and there's so much more stuff in this game than what the lane usually have, because FPS, right, you can dodge behind stuff and so on. So the hook is harder to hit or easy to avoid them, because you can easily jump behind the bridge, So that's not the thing in like Dota and LoL and so on. In this game, it's so much harder. And also look about how the jungle is in this game, right? In the jungle in this game, you have so much more stuff, and so much more angles and doors and that, right? Where in Dota and League and so on, the jungle are much more open, meaning that the punch thing and the blitzcrank thing, you can easily hook someone across the jungle. You can stand, in the jungle and hook someone right from the mid lane to you if you're playing Dota, right? But if you're playing this game, you can never hook someone from the lane. So Beepop actually is a terrible character because hooking is just so much worse in this game. You're never going to be able to hook someone from like between two lanes or whatever. You're never going to hook someone from the jungle because the jungle has so much more vast in this game. And then the actual lanes, again, has so much more stuff on them. So the only thing Beepop has is his hook and super long cooldown and easy to avoid. And there's so much more stuff in the way, right? And he's basically pointless then on the lane because, yeah, you hook once a minute. And if you miss with the hook, which you probably will, of course, because it's avoided, and even if you hit with the hook, they can just run away from you because half the character has like 3 jump mechanics. Like, everyone has like jump, burrow, slide, charge, do this thing. So, and they can also jump up to the lane thing in the sky, right? So everyone just jumps away from you. Like, you can't. Yeah, like, I don't know. Beepop is terrible. Okay, he's only good against noobs. Keep saying it. He's only a noob killer. But anyway, guys, that's tier list. Check out the links below for all things famously before, right? If you subscribe, slap and have a great